Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Film Seizure. I am Jason Oliver, and we have returning this week as a special guest our good friend Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hey, I'm back.
And as always, we have our co-hosts here, or my co-hosts here, Jeff Arbuckle
Hi.
and Chuck Moore.
Hey, what's up?
So, this week, we're closing out 2020.
Yes,
this, right?
Finally, get rid of this fucking year.
We are closing it out with a movie that may actually make you want to leave the planet Earth for the red planet of Mars.
Do you think it might get our asses to Mars?
We're going to get our asses to Mars. We are talking about 1990s Total Recall.
Hooray.
30th anniversary. So last week you did a 30th anniversary for Days of Thunder, which Jeff called the would you call it the last actioner of the 80s?
No, it was the last truly 80s movie made.
Okay. And then I believe you teased that or you were going to talk about the fact that you think that this is the first action movie.
Well, it's the first truly 90s movie made.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because this movie kind of brings together a lot of things that the 80s kind of built up to. You have insane amount of green screen or blue screen.
Yeah.
You have Arnold Schwarzenegger really kind of becoming the go-to star. I mean, in 13 short months from the time that this movie was released, he's in maybe one of, if we take our earlier movie Empire Strikes Back out of the equation, maybe the greatest sci-fi sequel ever made.
Yes.
In Terminator 2.
Right.
It's a what do we call this? It convalesces into this becoming the beginning of everything that the 90s will try to live up to for the rest of the decade.
It also, from a point of production, it also represents that sort of one-upsmanship on budget and spectacle.
Yeah.
This was one of the most expensive movies ever made at the time. And a lot of 90s movies started to break that record. So it was becoming more and more common to give the people what they want in the form of these big budget sci-fi action movies that were pushing new ground as far as visual effects go. And this movie, I think, is fascinating from that angle because it is this perfect mesh of practical effects and new computer generated effects, and also the blue screen, green screen technology and matte paintings. I mean, it is all in there. And sometimes that juxtaposition is a bit jarring. And this movie shows its age with that because of the fact that putting up some of these really amazing cutting edge practical effects up against these very dated matte paintings can kind of get a little sketchy, but it's still fascinating in that regard. Like, they threw the kitchen sink at this movie, anything that they could do to get the visual point across, which makes it even more fun for me. I'm just going to say right from the jump that I really like this movie, and I'm excited to talk about all the reasons why.
Sweet. I also like this movie. You have to
like, where do you go from there, right, Chuck?
Yeah, I mean, I like this movie too, and I'm also excited to talk about it. So let's do it, everybody.
I will borrow a line from another summer 1990 film and say ditto.
Oh, nice.
The ghost callback. Joe, what did you think of this movie?
It's all right. I'll be the dissenting opinion. No, when it came out, the special effects actually creeped my ass out so much.
Yeah.
The things that jump out to me are the Arnold bulging eyes for like 5 minutes straight. Like, okay, we're good. We've seen it.
It bookends the movie. Yeah.
It does. We got the dude growing out of the guy's stomach. That always creeped me out as a kid when I saw this. Yeah, I probably saw this when I was 11 too.
His name's not Krang.
Very Krang, very Southern lawyer from Venture Brothers. He's got that going on.
Oh yeah.
And of course, 3 boobs. What everybody remembers from it.
Yep. Spoiler alert.
I've got lots to say about the 3 boobs, and apparently so does Jason. So.
I do. I have a few things to say about it.
You guys are the 3 boobs, just so you know.
I was 11 years old, and there were 3 boobs on my TV screen, and I was, I wanted
it's
to touch
like,
all 3
my
of them.
God, it's 50% more boobs.
I needed another hand
for
that titty.
No, that's what your mouth is for.
What?
Can we take that out of the episode?
Yeah.
Nope, that's staying in.
You guys, you can put your mouth on a boob.
Yes.
Yep.
Question.
And sometimes girls like it.
Yep.
Sometimes guys like it too.
You sound like Cole Trickle right now, Joe. I don't understand the sex.
I don't understand.
That's when you were getting loose.
Yep.
Yeah.
What does it mean when you're getting loose on a lady? All right, back to Total Recall.
Your wheels were all over. Okay, bye.
All right. So, all right. Let's get this back on track here.
It's going to be very difficult to actually go through the plot of this movie because there's so many misdirects and many like twisty turnies.
So I think we need to start with the fact that it's based on Philip K. Dick source material.
We like Dick.
Yeah.
We do. We like Dick. But
that's staying in too, Chuck. By the way, I'm going to say you said it too.
Fair.
But it is very loosely based on the short story. Oh, I always fuck it up. We can remember it for you wholesale.
Yes.
It's very loosely based on that story. It really the only part that is kind of taken from that is the main character of Quaid. He is dissatisfied with his life. He goes to recall to have an experience, an implanted memory, and he wants to be a secret agent. And they discover that he's already has those memories, and it causes him to kind of remember his real life. And then from what I remember, he kind of has an altercation with the company or whomever. He's actually an assassin, and he assassinated someone on Earth who I believe is a political rival of someone on Mars. Yeah, and his handlers, they eventually are able to communicate to him through a telepathic link in his head.
Yeah, and it's like a goo or something.
Yeah,
that's been injected into his brain.
Right. And he eventually comes to the realization that he can't really fight this. He'd rather just have a happier memory of that he can fall back on and be retired as an assassin. And they decide to allow him this. So he has this. It's kind of a crazy idea. I really wish that somebody would make this movie. But he decides that when he was a child, he had a dream that he was he met these little tiny aliens, and these little tiny aliens were staging an invasion of Earth of some sort, and that they were going to take over Earth. But because he treated them with such kindness, and they liked his humanity, they decided to wait to take over Earth as long as he was still alive. So he says, I want that to be real in my mind. And when they go to implant that memory, they realize that it was actually a real memory. And that's kind of how it ends. It's like he's this weird sort of savior of mankind as long as he's alive.
Man, ain't that the
idea,
truth?
But that ain't Total Recall.
No,
Right.
No, you're going through that description. I'm like, I would watch that movie.
Right,
That
it's cool.
sounds
It's
really
cool.
good. That
It feels
cool.
kind of like an Outer Limits episode, doesn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah. But no, that's not the movie that they made. The movie that that Ronald Schuster and Dan O'Bannon wrote was more intended to be kind of like Indiana Jones Goes to Mars. That's the movie that they wanted to make. And that's the movie that Dino De Laurentiis wanted to make.
Wait, Dino's back?
Yes, he is back. Dino De Laurentiis owned the rights to this movie, but it went through all kinds of development hell. It just, from the mid to late 80s, it wasn't happening. At one point, I'm going to get it out of the way now, David Cronenberg was attached to direct Total Recall.
Well, It's better than it being another whole thing about David Lynch.
We'll get there.
Let him have his.
We'll get there.
Fair enough. Let him have his Cronenberg, because I too like David
Cronenberg is very connected to this movie in more ways than just the former director. And I'll get there here in a moment. But Cronenberg was very keen on making this movie. He liked it quite a bit. He liked most of the script, but he wanted to rework it, rewrite it, and he got into lots of fights with William Schuster about the script, or Shusett, not Schuster, or Shusett. And essentially, Cronenberg wanted to adapt the novel, and that's not what Shusett wanted. He wanted, what his original sort of adventure was.
It actually is not a novel. It's a 20-page short story.
Yes. Sorry, no, it's like a short story.
It was published in like Science Fiction Fantasy magazine or something. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, not a novel. Short story. But Cronenberg eventually kind of got really disillusioned by the project at that point. And then Dino De Laurentiis wasn't really feeling like making a big budget sci-fi movie again after Dune failed, and his production company was failing essentially after Dune. He hung on for a few years.
I cannot imagine how that happened.
Yeah, he hung on for a few years, but it wasn't really happening. He stretched himself too thin because he had started his new studio in North Carolina, but he eventually sold the rights to Total Recall, and that's kind of when it got picked up by, I forget who bought it, but Arnold Schwarzenegger is really the person who drove this movie to be made. Without his influence, his rising star, it probably wouldn't have happened. And that's when Paul Verhoeven came on board. And Verhoeven
he was impressed by RoboCop.
Yeah, he was impressed by RoboCop. And Verhoeven brought a bunch of his people over. He got Rob Bottin to do all the special effects, who'd done the special effects for RoboCop, which are super impressive. And also Rob Bottin kind of got his start on The Howling. He's responsible for still probably the most famous werewolf transformation on film. So that's that. It got another rewrite after that. Arnold Schwarzenegger asked, I don't remember who, to come in and kind of do another work with Shusett, fix the script, give it a proper third act, and they were able to do that. But this is really important. One of my favorite parts of this movie is a holdover from Cronenberg. There was the idea of mutants, the character of Quato, all of that was created by David Cronenberg.
It feels very Cronenberg.
Absolutely, it does. Even right down to the look of Quato. It feels very Cronenberg.
And what about how about Hatchet Face Pete, whatever his name is?
All that stuff, man.
Good little hatchet.
That was Hatchet Face Pete. That's
Harry Gant.
Wasn't that Dean Norris?
I don't know.
Oh, is it?
I think so. Yeah.
He was in the. I do remember seeing him in the credits.
Oh, yep. Damn! I didn't even associate it.
He was a mutant in the Last Resort Club. Yeah. Anyway, that's like the quick version of the production.
There were really only two mutants that I was paying attention to at the Last Resort, and one was extra, and one was itty bitty.
Oh, yeah. She had a cool name. I forget what her name was, but I'm gonna look it up. Anyway, continue.
No.
I was paying attention. One more thing of note before we get out of the production of this movie is I find interesting because Cronenberg is kind of a person who doesn't like to let ideas get away from him. he kind of took a lot of his ideas for Total Recall and funneled them into two other movies. Some of the sort of split memory, schizophrenic kind of themes he put into the movie Spider. And then a lot of the sort of alternate reality, kind of like virtual reality, or the sense of which reality are we living in, which kind of became really popular as a theme in the late 90s. That was funneled into his movie Existence.
For some reason, even though I know it wasn't David Cronenberg, it's like, oh, here comes Lawnmower Man.
That's where I thought we were going.
Yeah.
Like, hell yeah, Lawnmower Man. Virtual reality. Gotta fly through some triangles flying at you. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, big,
Get it,
big
Joe.
dumb Jeff Fahey.
But
I don't ever want to talk about Lawnmower Man on this show.
No, I live tweeted that for Film Seizure 1 and 2, and boy, Lawnmower Man is a bad movie.
It's not a good movie.
Nope, it's not. So anyway, what we have now is a movie made in 1990 by Paul Verhoeven, very much a vehicle for Arnold Schwarzenegger, big budget, massive budget, and a movie that had probably gone through about 50 rewrites. You know, it probably feels like a movie that should have been destined for failure.
Oh, but it's good.
But it's not. It's not.
It's good.
It all actually kind of fell into place. It's one of those rare occasions where something went through development hell for half a decade, but all the tumblers hit and all the right people fell into the right places, and even elements that were holdovers from previous directors were absolutely perfect, and they were wise to keep those elements into the final film. It's just, it's inexplicable that this worked out. And it really pays very little resemblance to the source material, which is another kind of weird thing.
Yeah, because like they even changed the name of the character from Quail to Quaid to make him sound harder.
Mm-hmm.
And of course he's got jiggling muscles at the construction site. It's like, yeah, because the Quail was like just kind of like a little wiener, basically. And now we have Arnold Schwarzenegger, so we gotta accentuate those muscles.
Yes, and they even got Jerry Goldsmith to do the score, which a lot of Goldsmith nerds consider this one of his best.
It's pretty good. It
is pretty good. There are moments where it gets a little goofy, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
You know what? It's fine. It's fine because if you're gonna, I mean, you're gonna say it's better than last week's movie anyway, so it's fine that it's a little goofy.
Okay, so let's go around the Zoom here.
Around the horn.
Yeah, we're always curious about when people first saw a movie, or Joe's already talked about how the bulging eyes stuck out for him. And they did for me. That's one of the indelible.
They did images. For Arnold too, and for Ronnie Cox.
How old were you, Chuck, when you saw this? Do you remember?
I would guess 13. I mean, whenever this came out, I caught it on HBO.
Yeah.
I was trying to look up the year that Running Man came out because I think it's fairly
Running
close
Man
to
is
this.
86, I think.
Oh, it's a few years before that.
Yeah.
Sometimes in my mind still, I mix these movies in places.
Running Man was Stephen King, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
For some reason, I always think that's a Philip K. Dick also.
But yeah, I mean, much like Joe, it's very much like a Philip K. Dick kind of story, The Running Man, or whatever. But much like Joe, it was the practical or the effects, like Arnold Schwarzenegger's face. I think a lot of my enjoyment from this movie was laughing at Schwarzenegger's overperformance in a lot of the spots.
Yeah,
which is the stuff I really appreciate now, actually. Like the effort that he gave to this movie is kind of astounding.
Yeah, he is. So this is during a time, and Jason, you and I talked about this with the villain.
Yeah.
All those episodes ago when you were like face in hand, like about to tear your hair out.
I wasn't ready for the zaniness of that movie.
Yeah, but we said even in 1978 or whenever that came out, 78, 79, whatever it was, Arnold Schwarzenegger is goddamn likable.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Everything he does, he is goddamn likable. Even as a villain in Terminator, or even as that stoic warrior that will cleave you in fucking twain, he is in Conan. He is fucking likable, and his wide-eyed desire to get to Mars in this movie was so endearing that I was like, I am on board from minute one. Anyway, Chuck.
Yeah, man, it's like he's like the opposite of Stallone in that way for me.
Yes.
Like Stallone always has to earn it with me. It feels like
well, he sometimes takes himself too seriously.
Maybe that's it. But Schwarzenegger, it's impossible not to just be like, okay, wherever this guy is going, like even shitty movies like The Last Action Hero, you're like, well, Schwarzenegger was awesome. Yeah. You know, like he's just awesome.
That might be a movie we should reevaluate, because I've got a feeling separated from it now by a couple of decades, we might appreciate it more. But anyway, yeah, I mean, like, think about just all the movies that he's in, like True Lies. It's like, yeah, he's a super badass super spy.
Ain't no jump, daddy will catch you.
I mean, and obviously we'd already talked about Commando. You know, it's like, holy fucking shit. The first time you see him, he's carrying a goddamn tree. You know, and it's like, all right, this guy's our hero, obviously. Yeah.
I mean, that's the gold standard for Schwarzenegger for me now, honestly.
I think it is for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that about Schwarzenegger, because I always thought he was, like, looking back, like rewatching older movies, a lot of that for me was like, yeah, he's just this big, dumb, like, strong guy. It's like, whatever, but no, watching back, it was like, he's given it his all. He's super likable in basically everything. And it really comes across. It's like, these older movies are Kindergarten Cop 10 years before Kindergarten Cop. Or, you know, it's like, it's like, he's awesome. He's given it his all.
You know, he plays an everyman so well when he is absolutely not an everyman.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Astonishing. Yeah.
He's the opposite man.
You know what I think? You know what I think some of it is? I think it's the fact that he's a foreigner, right?
Yeah.
So you can kind of see him sometimes struggling with the English language. You can kind of see him trying to relate to things that Americans relate to, I think. And his real life persona reflects that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that he's this great sort of immigrant story that people found endearing from the start, with his bodybuilding and Mr. Olympia and, you know, the what was it, Gold's Gym and all of that, right? That he was able to build this momentum of his personal, you know, cult of personality, I guess you could even call it, into his movies. And I just feel like there's, in every role he plays, there's a little bit of who he really is in them.
Right.
You know?
It's weird, too, because he's the kind of guy that you could easily jump to a conclusion about.
Yeah.
So, like, a cursory knowing of who he is, you could be like, he's a fucking asshole. He's got to be you know what I mean? But he's not. He's
not. Yeah. I mean, like, he's a guy, like, I mean, he was the Republican governor of California, but did any of us think as Democrat voters that he didn't want to actually do something good for that state? Like, you almost have to believe that while we may disagree on a lot of things, he at least wants to do something right, you know, and he cares.
He's that rare Republican too, who is really more libertarian.
Sure.
He was in a lot of ways on the right side of, or the left side, I should say, of a lot of social issues.
Yeah.
And he was very serious about environmental issues. So, you know, pretty moderate as far as Republicans go, and not the type of Republican that you see anymore.
No, but it just kind of shows that like he's more than just big tough guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a little bit of a brain in there that's actually always working.
Guys, there is a video I found, or actually saw it on the news live, but it was it was like Rosh Hashanah or something, and it was when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor, and I was living in California at the time, so he was my governor, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's true. He was.
And he was he was doing like a traditional Hasidic Jewish dance with these rabbis with the whole gear, you know, and the hair and everything, and in the circle holding their hands. And it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. But he was so 100% into it, right? Here is Arnold Schwarzenegger dancing, holding hands with Jewish rabbis, and it just endeared me to this day to the man. Like, just wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, like there are so many of those little videos and those posts that you see on Facebook, and it's like, damn it, Arnold, you're saying all the right things at all the right times. And, you know, it just goes to show that, yeah, it's like sometimes he looks at things that are bigger than a mindset or a party or whatever. You know, I mean, sometimes you just got to look at something, and sometimes you step outside of whatever you're, you know.
I believe
it is.
I believe that if Arnold Schwarzenegger could have run for president, he would have won.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
God, wouldn't it? Yeah, never mind.
Pretty wild.
To see him and Trump like running against each other would be amazing.
Oh my God, he would absolutely destroy Trump. It would be amazing.
Right.
It'd be amazing.
Well, we don't have to worry about that anymore.
Hopefully.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Who the fuck knows?
So, all right.
One thing I was going to say is, this was one of those movies. So in the summer of '89, the year before this, I saw a bunch of movies at the theater. Some of it was because my mom could just drop me off at a theater. There was, you know, if there were R-rated horror movies that I wanted to see, like the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th movies that came out that summer, my brothers took me or something, you know. But in '90, I didn't get to quite see everything that I wanted to. And I want to say that Total Recall played at the theater that you couldn't take the note from mom saying that it was okay to go see an R-rated movie. Because it seemed like one of them, I feel like Lowe's was cool, General Cinema was not about that. And I may have them backwards, but at least at that stage of the early part of the 90s or the late 80s, I feel like there were times where I did get to see an R-rated movie by myself. Now, there were times that I bought a ticket for a PG-rated movie and snuck into the R-rated movie.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
But I also got caught one time at Cinemark doing that. I fucking had to watch Ghost Dad instead of seeing the fucking movie I wanted to see.
I saw Ghost Dad with my dad in the theater.
Yeah. But anyway, Ghost Dad...
I ghosted my dad when he wanted to go see Ghost Dad.
Dad and I also went to go see Leonard Part 6 in the theater.
I did too with my dad. That's awesome.
I saw none of those movies. Well, I didn't want to see any of those movies, but I saw Ghost Dad. But anyway, so I didn't see it until it hit VHS. And because then I could take my note from my mom to the video land and rent a movie. And so I feel like I rented it. So it was probably early 91 when it hit video, and that was probably when I saw it. But it was just one of those movies that's like, this is just good. I mean, my very first note that I wrote was that I just appreciate the wanton violence of this movie.
Mm-hmm. That's what you get when you get a Paul Verhoeven involved.
There are so many deaths, and there are so many innocent bystanders who die too.
I don't think that anyone makes a better squib shot than Rob Bottin. I mean, holy hell.
That poor son of a bitch on the escalator.
Can I just say, I wanted to bring him up. The poor escalator meat shield guy.
Yes.
That's my favorite moment.
in my life, when I'm having a bad day, I think at least I'm not escalator meat shield guy.
Yeah, that guy was just going to work, and he's getting fucking obliterated.
He gets brutalized,
Yep.
like literally, like Quaid is like using him as a meat shield, and then when he finally drops him and gets away, what's his knuckle steps on his chest after he's dead.
Oh, Michael Ironside?
Yeah, Michael Ironside just steps on the poor dude. Like, if you ever think you're having a bad day, just think of meat shield.
Yeah, at least I'm not that guy. So like, it's just one of those movies that plays to every craven, like, deep in your soul darkness that you just want to sit back and laugh at the fucking violence and cruelty of something. It's this and RoboCop.
Yeah.
It's this and guy getting shot in the dick in RoboCop.
Yeah.
At least you're not that guy either.
Joe, I think you mentioned this because this movie almost fails like right out of the gate for me. Like the Mars info news dump scene where you're getting everything told you. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
It's if I hadn't seen it before, I would not have known what was going on, but it's in the apartment at the beginning. It's literally the news is on the TV just talking over. That is literally all of the plot. It's just dumping it on you. It's like, hey, we got this little war going on Mars between this guy and that guy, and you have to get this resource, and he's got all the resource, and that's where the money is and all that. And I'm just like, What the fuck is going on? It's like, oh, wait, that all plays in later. Like, literally having to pick up on that. But during that, you're being interrupted by the whole Sharon Stone conversation, like about the dream and all that, and like just like, okay, what the fuck is going on right here?
Here's the thing, though: you don't need that. It's there because Verhoeven loves that shit. But all that information comes back around naturally in a way that you can more easily digest later.
Well, I also think
it does, but I don't. There's no context to it, I guess.
Really, all that is supposed to serve is for you to understand that Arnold Schwarzenegger is dissatisfied with his life on Earth and wants to move to Mars.
I also think it also sets up the idea that he's a person of two lives. He's not he's a part of him is really on Mars.
Mm-hmm. And there's also a part of him that thinks, what's his name, is a good guy.
Cohagen.
Yes, Cohagen, played by Ronnie Cox.
Oh my God!
Who seems like he's the go-to bad guy for Verhoeven,
and he's also fucking unhinged in this movie, and it's great. But
I hear you. It's but it's also on like a sweet wall television, Joe. Because it's the future.
I mean,
I don't know. Some of their future computers were terrible.
Oh man, I have a funny note about
some big chunky boys.
Yeah, I'm like, we can go to Mars, but these are the best computers we have.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's sort of like that Flash Gordon syndrome, right? Where the futurists can only kind of imagine so far into the future.
I mean, think about it like this too. Like, because as I turn to my left, I see 1966 episode of Star Trek on my TV right now, right?
Yeah.
And it's like they're like at the further reaches of like ability to travel in a spaceship, and they still have computers that you have to push hard buttons on too.
Yeah, I mean, you can give Star Trek a little bit of leeway there though, because that's 60 years. Total Recall was the 90s. Computers were already getting smaller, and they chose to use big computers. You know what I mean? Like,
it could have also been sort of a practical thing. Like they probably just took some of the computer technology and hardware that existed at a time and just made it a little different. I don't know.
Yeah, but he gets an iPad later that's kind of cool. You know, like I'm like, well, that's kind of foreshadowing. It's kind of like an iPad, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a Novotel. Those computers, that's what they're called, Novotel. And I have a note that says, "It's never good when Michael Ironside appears on your Novotel."
I said the same thing. Whenever he shows up, you're fucked. If you think he's there to do hero stuff, he ain't.
He ain't.
He was barely there for hero stuff in V. So you're not in good shape when Michael Ironside shows up.
No, you're not.
Like, I think, honestly, is V the only time he was a hero? And he was like an anti-hero in that.
He's kind of a hero in Starship Troopers.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a fascist, but he's
also giving people a little bit more truth than he probably should be.
Yeah.
Because it's like he's all fucked up.
He's our fascist.
Yes, so. he's the fascist we need when we're fighting the bug monsters.
What we got was Casper Van
Dien. Their entire alien species.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, they're in the first scene with the apartment. It's been conveyed that Quaid wants to move to Mars. Sharon Stone, his ridiculously hot wife, is not into it.
I'm just gonna say right now, I'll take that life. Fuck Mars. I'll take the life with 1990.
That's what Susan
Sharon
said. She said, "Wow, it's pretty sad when Sharon Stone is your wife and you're dreaming about, some lady on Mars."
Yeah, she was also a massive asshole in the 80s. So I get it. It also, but it's like, hey man, I'll take that life anyway.
So Arnold Schwarzenegger goes to his construction job and talks to his construction buddy, his foreman maybe, and talking about wanting to go to Recall, where he can have essentially like a vacation, a memory vacation.
I love the fact that when he goes to talk to the guy from Recall, he's like, the guy from Recall is like selling him on unreality by saying the reality of things is a fucking nightmare. And it kind of is. Sometimes travel is a fucking nightmare. Even though the destination's nice, you sometimes got to deal with things that are outside the things you really like doing, like going to an airport or, sitting next to the fucking smelly guy on the airplane. All of those things suck. And it almost ruins the reality of the ideal vacation, right? So the guy's selling them hard on the idea of all the bad shit that can happen on a vacation. It's like, hey, we cut all that stuff out. And I'm thinking, I kind of like this pipe dream you're selling me on here, guy.
Yeah. Well, it's important to note too that his coworker warns him not to go to Recall because he heard that they lobotomized a guy.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite early moments, and it's pure fucking Verhoeven, is when Arnold Schwarzenegger, Quaid mentions this to the sales guy. He's like, well, what about the guy you almost lobotomized? He's like, oh, that's ancient history. It's ancient history. And he shows him a chart.
Yes.
And on this chart, there's two lines.
Yes.
There's
I
one
wrote
for
this
Recall.
down too.
There's one for Recall, and there's one for a competitor, I guess.
The shuttle. No, it's the shuttle accident.
The shuttle. Yeah, the shuttle accidents. Thank you. And the shuttle accidents goes up, and Recall stays flat. And the point of data is fatalities.
Yes. And remember, there's a reality to this that's very dark. This is only like 4 years after the Challenger exploded.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, it is actually like, traveling on a fucking shuttle is indeed dangerous. We just lost a bunch of people. And, it is, oh my God. I wrote that down because I fucking love the idea that, yes, the chart was, look at us, versus the reality of.
I know. I love it. And I love it. It's like, well, we're not totally safe. I have to have this chart to show you
safer than that bullshit.
That we're safer than taking a real vacation, but you could still die.
Right. I mean, let's put it this way. Here's pulling back the covers a little bit. Jason and I work for competing companies. It would be like one of our companies saying that if you bought the other guy's stuff, you will die. It will kill you. And I would not put it past either of our peoples to do
Probably not. Oh
Yes.
man.
Did anyone notice? Sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
The salespeople are saying, "You buy that, you're dead."
Yeah,
You're
it's the
dead.
salespeople.
Yeah, sales do
Did you
that.
guys notice that all of Quaid's ideas and plans are given to him while he's on a train, either by a commercial or a random person?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything he does is from an advertisement or someone on a train explaining something to him. It's
That's
kind of
enough.
hilarious.
Yeah, that's another Verhoeven thing. Like it's the seeping ability for marketing to actually control somebody's.
I thought it was
Yeah,
probably
the
purposeful.
manipulation of the media, the propaganda that we're constantly bombarded with, and how that's affecting all of our decisions. Yep.
Because the way that the news even presents Cohagen, and then like,
Well, the way that Cohagen describes the situation on Mars, he calls them all a bunch of lazy mutants who think
Yeah.
they can run the planet. Yep.
yeah, and then it's like the news is playing up the fact that people are being killed by these attacks, and so you're looking to the guy who's running the place for answers.
Mm-hmm.
And even the news is doing that, and it's presented in a way to where like Quaid is like, but he said this and he does this, and like, okay, spoiler alert.
Well, Quaid even says that Cohagen says it's all under control, and it's not that big a deal.
And his
He's
wife,
buying into all of it.
yeah, his quote unquote wife, spoiler alert, that is not really his wife. She's like, do you believe him? She even works for the guy, and she's like, do you buy that it's all under control? So it's like it's layers, man. It's layers upon layers.
I would argue, though, and we're jumping way ahead, but I would argue, though, that at that point in time, she's not really trying to dissuade him from going to Mars, because she is actually his wife, and she doesn't want to go to Mars.
Oh boy.
Wait a minute.
No.
I believe that the movie.
We're really getting. We're
All right,
You're jumping right.
I'm jumping way ahead, but all right.
Because there's one gigantic question all four of us are going to have to answer at the end of it.
So yeah, I won't say any more, but I don't believe that her motivations there are what you say they are.
Well,
or her lack of motivation.
It depends on our point.
I think
we have different points of view at the end of this.
We might.
Let's talk about the rest of it and get there.
Let's get there. Let's get there. Let's get there, guys. Let's drive. Let's drive the Martian cab to.
He decides
the Johnny cab that will
take the Johnny cab. Oh my God! I'm going to pose it. I'm going to pose it. It's the age-old chicken or egg question: which came first, the Johnny Cab design or Robert Picardo's voice? I gotta know. Did they say we're going to hire Robert Picardo for Johnny Cab and then model him after his face, or did they create the mold, create Johnny Cab, and say, "Holy shit, he looks like Robert Picardo. We got to get him for the voice"? I want to know. I want to know.
Burning question. That's the big question. Jeff is
that is the big question.
Later.
That's the big question that we all have to answer. We're all going to go on the record.
I'll let you know
again. Robert Picardo again, also a Rob Bottin connection, because Robert Picardo is the one who played the werewolf in Howling that Bottin made his name on transforming.
We're gonna get there. We are gonna get there for the Star Trek connections too.
Yep.
This movie.
Yep.
This movie's lousy with Star Trek.
Lousy. Oh, and of course, Robert Picardo is also in Total Recall.
Yes.
The Johnny Cab.
He's the Johnny.
So are you going to connect this like?
Sorry, I didn't mean Total Recall. RoboCop. He's in RoboCop.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. He's in RoboCop.
Yeah.
Are you going to connect this like via Robert Picardo and Captain Picard?
Ooh. No.
I'm just joking.
No.
That's just too freaky for words, Chuck.
Captain Jean-Luc Picardo.
Jean-Luc Picardo.
So he takes the Johnny Cab to Recall. He gets the pitch. He's like, I'm in, I'm doing it. But he wants a special extra. And the extra is that he will play a role that is not his real reality.
An ego trip.
Yes, an ego trip. And he chooses secret agent without any hesitation when he sees the option.
Yeah, it's like you want to be a sports star, you want to be a playboy. I want to be a secret agent. And he's like giddy over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like his face is all lit up over. Like the way that Arnold Schwarzenegger plays that scene at Recall is so childlike in wonder. You know, like he is so excited to get this opportunity to finally, you know, get his Mars memory, because his wife doesn't want him. He doesn't want to go to Mars. She doesn't want to go to Mars. Yeah.
Nope. So he and then the sales guy is so excited because he sold him on the extra, and he starts telling him about what to expect. Then he's like, "Well, I don't want to spoil it for you, but let me just tell you, you know, you're gonna save Mars and get the girl and have the happy ending." And Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, "I am fucking in. Let's do
Here's
this.
my extra 300 space bucks.
300 space bucks." So he gets in the chair. I love the look of the recall chair. Like,
There's one thing I like even more about that, though.
it's sort of like this brutalist architecture about it. And
It does not look comfortable, but I especially like the guy who says, "Things hardly ever fuck up around here." That's what I want to hear before my brain bits are
the
messed with.
technicians are hilarious.
Yes.
They are pretty great.
They're very lackadaisical about this whole
Yes.
affair. Yeah, they're only going to be like implanting somebody with false memories in their brain.
It's just their job, man.
Yeah, but they're just like, they do this, 100 times a day or something, and they're all about it. But there's a funny scene as they've sedated him, and as he's drifting off to sleep, she's asking him questions about who he would like to, who his ideal woman is, essentially.
Yeah, because it's going to be part of the ego trip is the woman.
And she gives him a few different personality qualifiers, and she's like, "Be honest, you'll be happy if you do." And he picks sleazy and demure.
Yes, but also athletic.
Athletic also,
And
yeah.
brunette. Yeah, but the first question that comes right out is, what's your sexual orientation?
Oh yes, hetero.
Because that's where things are not going to be happy if you don't if you're just telling them what you think they want to hear.
Very true. I like the look that she gives him too. Like,
She's like, oh, yeah.
You?
There's another kind of throwaway line here, which I think is important later.
oh, it's really important. I know exactly what it is.
When the tech is like, he's like almost off he's off to the side, and he says, blue skies on Mars. That's a new one.
New one.
Yep.
Yep. Big clue.
Yeah.
Well, and also going through the they're also going through the like the relics, and it's like, haven't you watched the news? They found all this alien shit.
Alien artifacts. Yep. They're all the rage right now. Yep. That's all anyone's talking about. Yep.
Imagine that just being the thing that you're talking about, like the water cooler moment. It's like, oh, did you see they found some alien shit? And it just being just what you're talking about, and not like absolutely fucking life-changing for every single person on the planet.
I mean, they already have gone to Mars, so I guess
Right.
the luster is off a little bit.
I will say, this is jumping ahead a little bit, I do like the realism that Mars is colonized, but not it's not terraformed. A lot of sci-fi movies would jump right to terraforming the Mars, when that would take hundreds of years. I don't think this movie is that far in the future.
Yeah.
To be successfully terraformed.
Oh,
Judging by the cars, no.
Yeah, right. Judging by the technology of the Johnny Cab, I would say no.
So they inject him, and then the sales guy is in his office, and he's trying to sell this lady on a different package, and he gets a frantic call from the tech, and she's like, he's freaking out. Where he's I don't know what
they say he's going into a schizophrenic embolism, I think.
Yes, thank you. I think you're absolutely right. A schizophrenic embolism, which you kind of get the sense, oh shit, they're going to lobotomize him. So he runs in there. And Arnold Schwarzenegger's freaking out. he does great facial contortions in this movie. It's kind of amazing. His physical acting is really good in this. And he starts ranting about being a secret agent on Mars and this and that.
His cover's been blown.
Yeah, and the doc says, well, this is just the memories that we implanted in him. And she's like, no, we haven't even done that yet. He's remembering things that actually happened. And the guy freaks out. He's like, oh my God, okay, let's bring him out of this. Let's refund his money.
Refund his money and wipe his memory.
Yeah, wipe his memory of ever coming here and put him in a cab home. Right? And that's what they do. And he goes home, I think, after that, right?
Yeah, he wakes up in the Johnny cab and he asks, where's he at? How did he get there? And of course, the Johnny cab answers everything very directly and very to the letter. It's like, the door opened and you walked in. That's how you got here. And then, but basically he's being sent home. And when he gets there, that's when he sees his coworker. And it's like, hey, you went to recall, right? And it's like, what? What are you talking about? No, I didn't. And it's like, well, yeah, you did. And then he pulls a gun on him.
Yeah.
And you realize, uh-oh, something's going on.
So he ends up killing his coworker and some other goons that work for the agency. And he's pretty confused at this point. He's like, wait a minute. What's going on? He also reflexively kills every single one of those guys single-handedly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he John Wicks the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
And he goes home. Sharon Stone, his wife, is at home, and he tells her what happened. Shows her the blood on his hands, and I don't really remember what happens next. Actually, she kind of like tries to deny that there's anything weird going on, but also tries to kind of stall him because she sees Michael Ironside coming.
She called Michael Ironside.
She calls Richter. Yeah. And so, because he goes into the other room or something to get cleaned up or something. She's like, why don't you go get cleaned up? And then she calls him. And then when he comes out, she's in the shadows. And all of a sudden somebody is shooting at him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's fight, shoot,
shoot, bang, bang, bang. Let's go to Mars.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's way in advance.
Yeah.
Basically, so he gets now we discover actually that he can be tracked because there's a thing in his head. And Richter and his goofball buddy who just wants to shoot every single place what type of warehouse was it? It was a stupid warehouse. It's like, you don't make things in a warehouse like that. Oh, it was like a flower factory.
Before that, he gets a mysterious delivery.
Yes,
from a buddy of his that he doesn't recognize.
Oh my God! And the woman outside.
He leaves a briefcase for him, and he goes down to get it. Quaid does, and his woman grabs it first, and they have a quick altercation about this.
And then she goes, "Well, fuck you."
I do love that part. It's like, no, this is mine.
I love it too, motherfucker.
This was like a stupid thing that me and my buddy used to do. Whenever one of us would say "fuck you" to the other one or something like that, because at this point he's got his towel wrapped around his head because the guy on the phone has told him to do that so that he can dampen.
It would confuse the receptor.
Yeah, the
put a wet towel on your head. It won't be able to track. So
he puts a wet towel on his head, and he looks kind of like a Sikh, right?
Yeah.
And then when she says, "Well, fuck you," he turns to her and does a little bow.
That's hilarious. That is great.
I love it so much.
I also like that the throwaway line of the guy is like, "Hey, you look good," after he comes back to the camera.
Yeah. So he gets another Johnny Cab. Fucking Johnny Cabs everywhere in this movie in the first act, and it's amazing when the car wrecks at the warehouse and the Johnny.
Yeah, because he just wants the Johnny Cab to go,
Yeah.
but the Johnny Cab can't go until
Right.
you tell it where to go. So then he gets to the water factory or whatever the fuck it is. It's a dumb fuck factory because you don't make whatever it is. It's like it's at the old soup factory.
They were making Days of Thunder in that factory.
Yeah, it's like it's the old Days of Thunder factory. Anyway,
What's that?
but so. It's like he just wants the Johnny Cab to go. So he tears the Johnny Cab driver out and he takes over. And he takes off and he gets to the destination. He gets out and the Johnny Cab's like, we hope you enjoyed your ride. It's going to be whatever monies, whatever space bucks. It's like 17 space credits. And he's like, so sue me. And then the thing explodes.
Yeah.
It's like, so if you don't pay your Johnny Cab,
it drives into a wall and explodes. Yeah.
Right. Just get, like 10 feet away and it's going to blow up.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I feel like you guys haven't played these games, but man, Johnny Cab totally reminds me of the Fallout series.
Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're talking
Like it
about
would be
for sure.
100% like an impetus for design. Like Total Recall feels like it helped in the design of that game.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Little
So
segue there.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I love that kind of like just loop of creativity.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Total Recall, I guarantee you 100% is a movie that special effects people and designers, sci-fi designers have looked at extensively because.
Well, yeah, because the face explosions or the face
Yeah.
when their eyes are popping out and stuff, the stuff that's left an indelible impression on some of us is like that looks real almost.
My favorite effect we're not there yet, but my favorite effect is when he Arnold Schwarzenegger's dressed as a woman and he takes
2
the head
weeks.
off. Holy shit! All right, we'll get there in a second.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, that's such a cool scene of just
God, it's awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. So so there he opens up the case that the guy gave him. It's got a bunch of space bucks in it. It's got a computer in it. It's got IDs. It's got a lot of stuff in there. And so
Spy kit, basically.
Basically, it's the thing that it's end of mission 1 in video game.
Yeah.
And so you open up the case and he opens up the computer thing and he's talking to himself. And he's like, hey buddy, this is what's going on. You got a thing in your face, so you're gonna have to pull that out through your nose. It always makes me go like this. I love
Super Agent Arnold Schwarzenegger in this scene on the screen because he's so cheesing it.
Yes.
And being so playful with the fact that he knows he's talking to himself, and I love it.
so he plucks the thing out of his fucking head through his nose. And then he
that always freaked me out too.
Yeah, that's I mean, even to this day, thinking about it hurts my old nasal cavity.
He's like you got to shove it right up there until it crunches.
Yeah.
But don't worry, it's self-guiding.
So he takes the thing out. Meanwhile, as he's learning about what he needs to do next, which is get your ass to Mars and show the Brubaker license at the Hilton.
Yeah. Wow. You pulled that out of your ass. The Brubaker license.
Pulled that out of his notes.
Out of your nose.
No, I just remember that because Ed Brubaker is an awesome comic book writer. And anyway, so he basically learns what he needs to do, but meanwhile bad guys are closing in on him, and so this is where Michael Ironside's little buddy shoots everywhere when obviously he's not fucking there. He's obviously not fucking there.
The tracker.
The rat is moving the tracker around or whatever.
Yeah.
That chaps my ass.
That's a pretty silly scene.
Chaps your ass.
You just throw the fucking tracker. Instead, he puts it in a candy bar and sets it
Puts
there.
it in a Snickers or something.
Yeah. It's like, just chuck it across the place. Let's be done with this dumbass scene. Let's go.
I'll co-sign that too.
Oh, it's hilarious. It went on forever too. It's over there. Shoot. Like, all right, yeah. Like 4 times. Like,
yeah.
Dipshit. There's nothing there.
Well, that guy's
It's like it's a Three Stooges scene. I thought Ironside would like grab his nose and slap,
Yeah. There's nothing
Why,
there. You men can poop.
Yeah, so basically now we get to Mars, and now, Jason, talk about 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So he shows up on Mars. He's in the security checkpoint, essentially. It's like
Yeah,
customs.
it's like customs, yeah.
Yeah, and they're asking him how long he's going to be there. He says, but he's dressed as a woman, like kind of a older, I would say in her 50s, overweight woman.
Well, she looks like a tourist. She's very loudly dressed.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're not really supposed to know it's him, but you kind of know because they're spending a lot more time with this character than you would expect, right?
Also, I've seen the trailers, so yeah.
Right. Yeah, this was heavily featured in the trailers.
This is a fucking badass effect coming up.
It is, and in the meantime, you have Michael Ironside, Richter, and some army guys walking around. And
they know because he destroys the laptop on Earth, but it keeps saying, "Get your ass
to Mars." They know he's coming.
Get your ass to Mars.
Right.
Yeah.
Get your ass to Mars. So, they also, I think that the customs guy, security checkpoint guy, asks what the purpose of their visit is, and she responds again with 2 weeks, and starts to have like this freak out, and just keeps saying 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, and Richter sees it. And he points. He says, "That's Quaid." But before that, hold on, sorry. There's something that one of the generals says that kills me. He says, "The muties love Quato. They think he's fucking George Washington."
Yeah, because somebody has spray painted Quato rules.
Yeah,
on the side of the building.
The muties.
That's so very late '80s, early '90s, like Quato rules.
Quato rules or doing rules. It's hilarious. All right, but anyway, Richter sees this woman freaking out. He's like, "That's Quaid." So they go to confront the woman. The woman's like twitching out, and then it's such a cool effect because there's this. It's a combination of two prosthetics and computer generated effects, because what they do is it's a mask, but it's a full helmeted mask that's over Arnold Schwarzenegger's head, and he pulls it off, and when he pulls it off, it comes off in sort of segments.
Yeah, it splits up in
out.
bars and then out, and then he puts it back together.
And if you look, it's another prosthetic underneath of Arnold's face, his head. That's not actually his head underneath it. So I think what they might have done is stop motioned it. Yeah. And it might have all been practical. It might not have even been computer generated. It might have been all stop motion with a prosthetic in stages over another prosthetic, and it looks goddamn amazing even now, 30 years later. And then of course then it cuts to him, the real Arnold, holding the head. He tosses it at the agents. The line from the trailer. What is it, Jeff?
Get ready for a surprise.
Yep.
Kablamo!
Yeah, it's awesome. God damn it, I like this movie a lot.
Can I ask a question here? Because the shit that ensues after this infuriates me.
That is not true, but go ahead.
Bring it.
Dude, they're on Mars in a biodome.
Uh-huh.
They have guns with them,
Yeah,
which they're only half afraid to fire.
Uh-huh.
that's true.
But why does this fucking dome not bulletproof?
That's good. That's a good.
Well,
question.
because in 1990 they thought, I don't think there's going to be bulletproof domes.
There was bulletproof glass in the 90s.
But do you know how much it takes to build a whole city dome?
Do you know how much it takes to go to fucking Mars?
I don't know.
Come on.
It's Verhoeven, so I assume.
It's just a stupid plot device. Really.
No, here's what I think.
It kind of is a stupid plot device.
Well, I'm going to give Verhoeven the benefit of the doubt because he made Showgirls. That's
a solid argument, Jeff.
Trust me, it's fine.
Unbeatable argument.
Undefeated here.
You just Gershoned me.
So here's what I think. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, and because we've seen a fair number of Verhoeven movies where authoritarian or fascist types of concepts are brought into it, right? none more evident than Showgirls. But in this movie, you've got you.
You need to do an hour dissertation on the fascism of Showgirls someday, but not now.
I've
Not now.
already
Definitely
written
not now.
6,000 fucking
I know,
words on it,
I know.
so I can do
Yep.
it. Anyway, so in this situation, obviously Cohagen's got an authoritarian grip on Mars, right? And he is all about charging for that air, and he's cutting corners in places.
That's what I was going to think too. It's cheap. He's cheap.
He's cheap.
Yep.
There you go. See, I've already got one other person on my side.
But then he would die inside this dome too. I mean,
Well, he's
Maybe not.
kind of
He's
kind
kind
of
of
loose cannon
sheltered.
because it comes up later. His lackey says, "Don't." No, he says that to Ironside. He says,
Yeah.
"Don't fire in here. You'll kill us all.
right.
You'll break the shield." Or at least they address it.
I guess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, they address the fact that but they shoot one out anyways because they're morons.
Yeah.
Well, bad guys are morons too. That's another
Yeah.
Verhoeven thing, I think. Again, none more evident than in Showgirls.
Yeah. All right. So we can push back that. I just was a little annoyed and furious that, if you're trying to live a life on a foreign planet with a bad environment, then you wouldn't just use glass.
Honestly, here is where I think it gets really.
Well,
dumb.
it's also evident that he would do that, especially in Venusville. You wouldn't expect a shootout at the airport.
I guess.
he
Go ahead, Jason.
he checks into a hotel, and when he checks into the hotel that he's supposed to check into with his ID, he also has to sign for a document.
No, he signs on the back of the paper.
Yeah.
He wrote a
And
note to himself.
It's a fingerprint.
Yeah.
To
Oh,
get
it's the fingerprint. That's what
the
it is.
fingerprint
Yeah.
to get the safety deposit box. Then he tests his signature.
Which
Like, is this my writing?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I thought that was
I liked that. I liked that. But the fingerprint was a bad move. Like, what are you doing, dude? I mean, you don't
Well, he
track
thinks
your bio. Yeah, he does, but it's dumb.
Well, he's got to get that.
He
But
didn't have any train advertisements to tell him that he
But
should.
then he
That is
just goes
true.
up to his room and like, oh, I'm gonna relax in my swank hotel room.
it's not that swank. It's just a Hilton on the fucking moon or on the fucking
The Hilton
Mars.
on Mars.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, every fucking city on Earth has a Hilton. So
That'd be a rad fucking album name, The Hilton on Mars.
The Hilton on Mars.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm
guys,
doing
let's cut an album.
Yeah.
It's just
Bob
a bunch
Bomb's
of.
third album.
It's just like a fucking album of instrumental like psychedelic space rock.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that would be amazing, guys. We need to do that.
So anyway, one of the doctors from Total Recall show up, right?
Not yet.
That's later.
Because he's got to go to
Venus.
he's got to go to the last resort first.
Oh yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So he gets the clue that he's got to go to the last resort, and
He needs to see.
he's got to
Milena.
talk to us. You
Melina.
got to see Milena. Talk to Milena. That's when you see. That's when he meets the cabbie, who's got
Yes.
5 kids. I got 5 kids to feed.
Yep.
There's also a really sweet moment where there's a little mutant girl who
All
can-
mutants have psychic powers, or
Yeah,
all
she can-
psychics are mutants, or whatever. Fuck it. Show.
right either way. Yeah. All
Showgirls?
psych- and showgirls. Yeah, he used that later.
Yeah, he does.
And she's like, I can guess your sign. You're a Taurus. And he's sufficiently impressed, gives her like a little bit of space bucks and like,
he gives her.
he
He
kinda,
gives her
like,
a couple
pats her on the
space
head.
quarters.
yeah. He kind of pats her on the head or like pinches her cheek or something. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Because she's a mutant and she looks pretty mutationous.
Right.
Well, half her face is melted off.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
We learned that the mutants are formed by bad
Air.
air, basically.
Yeah, and you start to get some information about the fact that that this is that there's a revolt happening, right? There's rebels, and who is he? I gotta look at my notes here. Sorry, there's a Arnold Schwarzenegger. Quaid asks the cabbie. He asks him, "What are they rebelling about?" And he said, "Oh, the usual: more money, more freedom, more air."
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's really what it's all about. They They have to pay for air.
Yeah, the repressed are being incredibly oppressed.
Yes, they're essentially indentured servants.
Yep.
Worse in a lot of ways because they have to pay back their wages just in order to live, in order to get the basic necessity of oxygen.
Right, and there's no escape. They have nowhere to go.
Right.
It is essentially inner city everywhere in America.
Yeah,
Yes.
but there's also no frontier to go to. There's no mountain to hide in.
There's no place to
You're
go.
a part of the machine no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there is still Jack in the Box on Mars.
There is.
Well, if you can afford a good hamburger, I don't know, it might be a rat burger.
If you can afford a good hamburger, you don't go to Jack in the Box.
If you can afford a good hamburger, you go over to Hardee's and help pay for that sponsorship.
Yeah, and get yourself a Mellow Yellow.
Did you
Yeah,
notice
super
that
slow.
Coke and Pepsi both have product placement?
Yeah, Venusville is sponsored by Pepsi.
Yeah, Pepsi is the product placement on Mars, and Coca-Cola is the product placement on Earth.
Because
Yeah.
Earth is better than Mars.
I don't know,
maybe Coca-Cola paid more. Yeah.
To, what's the store right next to the Last Resort? Right next door.
Oh, I
bet
don't.
they're super happy about this.
Jack in the Box? Oh, there's a Brookstone, isn't there?
It's the Sharper Image. Yeah.
Sharper
Yeah,
Image,
just close.
okay. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I
amazing.
bet they were really happy about that. We're right next to the fucking hooker joint.
Yep. But so he meets Melanie, right?
yeah. It goes into Last Resort. It's kind of like a dive bar / brothel.
It's like an Old West brothel.
Yeah.
You go there for a drink and for a woman.
And this is where Dean Norris is, the mutant Dean Morris. Hatchet Face.
Hatchet Face.
Yeah.
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 I hope I never earned the nickname Hatchet Face.
I hope you never learn of your nicknames then.
Hey, Chuck, what's up? Oh, going over to Hatchet Faces.
Me and Hatchet Face are just talking about Total Recall, man.
I don't know. Maybe I could like steer into that.
Yeah.
Lean into the hatchet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go face first into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Find a hatchet.
Slide face first right into a fucking hatchet just hanging up there.
Ooh.
So yeah, what's happening in the movie right now?
Who knows?
Hooker joint.
It's got to meet Melina.
Yeah, so Melina, he's like, hey, I recognize you. You're the lady from my dream or whatever. But then he also, it's like he's kind of talking to her. And you find out that she is not as happy to see him as you might think. And you think maybe it's a little bit, she's just kind of the tough gal, right? But
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, but you can definitely tell that their relationship is not as rosy as it seems.
Yeah, because he disappeared at the height of whatever they were doing.
Right.
Right. Like she got him to the point where he could make a difference in this revolt, and then he disappears.
Yep.
And she doesn't believe a word of his story.
Because she knows he's a spy.
Right. She's like, yeah, right. You got your memory taken away. This is bullshit. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever, pal.
And you need to leave right fucking now.
Yep. And but she doesn't leave, or she doesn't like just kind of throw him away or whatever. She kind of sticks around because she does like him. But you might get the impression it's like, she likes somebody who's not very nice to her or whatever. How it goes and the whatnot.
On Mars. That's life on Mars.
Yeah, it's life on Mars, man. Hey, forget about it. It's Mars Town.
Yep.
So she kind of tells him to get fucked, basically, and then he goes off, and this is the time. I think he goes back to his room, and I think that's where the guy from Recall is waiting for him.
Yeah, this is a great scene. This is a great scene. Yep.
Go ahead, Jay. Jay, do you want to describe this scene, or Joe, or somebody?
Yeah, sure. So what happens is what's his name? The guy from Recall.
It's Dr. Edgemar.
Yes.
Thank you. I was going to go with Dr. Lewicki, but
Roy
Dr. Mann.
Rocksmith plays this character. Yeah. Okay. So Dr. Edgemar, he hears a knock at the door. This guy shows up. He's kind of Weasley looking dude who says he's from Recall. And Quaid's like, yeah, right. What are you talking about? He's like, no, really. You're in a chair in Recall, and I am being implanted into your brain, and I'm talking to you from Recall. It's really important that you come back to reality. You're very much in danger of essentially losing all touch with reality. You could very easily never, come back to your body again and live in this state of what do they call it again, Jeff? Schizophrenic embolism.
Oh yeah, something. Yeah, I think it's
something like that.
It's something embolism. I think it's schizophrenic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he doesn't believe him. He's like, yeah, right. What are you talking about? This doesn't make sense. And he's like, well, I've got someone who wants to talk to you, wants to see you. And in walks Sharon Stone, his wife. And she's, trying to convince him that, she's at Recall too, and they really need him to come back. And what they need him to do is take a pill, a red pill, which I find interesting from the Matrix perspective. But
I can't fucking stand that goddamn term anymore.
Oh, I know. It's become co-opted by the alt-right. I know. But anyway, it's a red pill, and if he takes the red pill, he'll it's a symbol, he says, that will show
indicate that he wants to come out.
Indicate that he understands that he's in a false reality and he wants to come back to the real reality. He's like, well, if you're not really real in this room, what's stopping me from just shooting you in the head right now? He's like, well, then you'll go into some sort of schizophrenic, psychotic tailspin or whatever. He shoots a bunch of psychological mumbo jumbo at him.
It's a little bit of flim flam.
A little bit of flim flam. So he says, okay, fine, I'll do it. He puts the pill in his mouth, and while he does, he notices a little drop of sweat coming down Dr. Edgemar's brow. Thank you.
Face. Cheek.
Face.
All of it.
And he thinks, well,
juice.
that doesn't make sense. If he's not really here, he shouldn't be sweating. So he shoots him right in the head.
Right in the fucking face. Takes it like a champ.
Right dead center forehead. He's done. He's out. He does this little weird, like, cross-eyed thing. It's a little Looney Tunes.
Whatever.
And then Sharon Stone's like, you son of a bitch.
No, she says, oh, you did it now.
Yeah. It's a great delivery. Yeah, it's a great delivery.
Yeah, she is fucking pissed.
Yeah. Yep. And they get into it. They fight. And what ends up happening, this is probably the most quoted line in the movie. Who wants to
Well, so what ends up happening is she pulls a knife, which gets shot out of her hand by Melina. They fight.
Oh, that's right. She shows up.
Yeah, they fight for a little bit. Arnold gets to a gun.
Oh, yeah, because they tumble onto the hallway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he gets to the gun, and she's like, but Rick, you wouldn't shoot me.
I'm your wife.
I'm your wife. And so he shoots her, and he's like, consider it a divorce.
Consider this. I don't know what I'm saying.
Consider it a divorce. Which, by the way, this was how I thought divorces were handled until about 2 years ago. I was told by a judge this is not the case.
It's how they're handled on Mars. For sure.
That's life on Mars.
Yeah,
That's life on Mars.
Unfortunately, that is not life on Earth.
Bowie's in space.
Yep.
Consider that a divorce. Fucking so Arnold.
So she's dead now. This is when Richter goes really off the scale.
Yeah,
because
Richter. Go ahead, Chuck. No,
I was just gonna say Richter's wife.
Fucking miss it. You missed my joke.
Richter goes off the scale. I heard you.
I didn't miss it.
Shut up. You two shut up.
I dismissed it. I didn't miss it. I dismissed it.
This is dismissal.
Yeah, consider that a dismissal of your joke. Now go fuck yourself, just like everybody else on Mars. Now,
oh man,
I'm having a schizoid something.
Yep.
But yeah, they were. Richter is married to Sharon Stone, at least in the story.
Or they're together of some sort. Yeah,
They're married. It's his
They're
wife.
Lovers. Oh,
It's his
they're
wife.
They were married because at one point he swallows her face in a kiss, and it's
Yes.
like, Michael Ironside's
Well,
not
yeah, because
romantic.
there's a moment too where he like pets the telenova
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah.
The hell.
Yeah, that's great. That's
It's really
cool.
weird.
but yeah,
the telenova. He's watching
Not
some
the
Spanish
telenovela.
soap operas.
Telenovela.
yeah,
the
the
Novotel.
telenovela.
The Novotel.
But it's
Me
important.
gusta, amor.
It's important to note now, though, too, that Richter has been told by his boss. I can't remember the dude's name, Kavanaugh or whatever, the main boss.
Cohagen.
O'Hagan.
Cohagen.
Verhoeven.
Yeah, Verhoeven. He's been told by Cohagen not to kill Quaid. And we don't know
Right.
why at this point, but they want to bring him back into the fold for some reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they hit him on Earth in the first place,
Right.
which comes to light later. But you know all this now. But Richter is now on a mission to kill him regardless because he killed his wife.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
then from there, I don't exactly remember the very next scene.
Well, this is where they got to go to meet Quato.
Oh, yeah. So he goes back to...
Melina believes him now, basically, that
Right.
that he's on the level. He's not working for Cohagen, and that he needs to see Quato. So that's what they do. She takes him to the underground where the rebels are.
Well, but first, he's also there with the cab driver.
The cabbie takes them too. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, 'cause he's given Cabby a lot of money, so the Cabby is hanging around.
he's kind of like his personal concierge on Mars now. Yeah. So they get in the cab. Melina takes them to Quato, and Quato is fucking awesome.
He's
He
a
is-
conjoined twin.
Yep. Yep. He
Yeah.
yeah, he's a little like head with little tiny arms that comes out of a man's stomach, like
Yes.
Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which would have been conceived around the same time.
Well, I think Krang might have been around a little before this, but I don't know for
Well,
sure.
I was trying to line up the dates on this, Chuck, because this is a good point of conversation, because I think Krang might have made his debut in like around '87, and I want to say that Cronenberg was working on this script, at least conceptualizing with an artist and working on a script in probably '85 or so.
But would
because-
that have information got around to like...
Well, here's what I think might be one of those creative feedback loops, because Cronenberg, when he ended up leaving Total Recall, he moved on to The Fly, and that was kind of a wild situation because The Fly wanted Cronenberg in the first place, but he was tied up with Total Recall. But then when he left Total Recall, The Fly ended up needing a director because the director that they had hired, his family had died in a really bad car accident.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Mel Brooks, who was the producer on The Fly, was like, okay, we really want you for this. We really like the pre-production work you've done for it. Take 3 months and then come back to me in 3 months and tell me what you want to do. Like Mel Brooks was exceedingly kind and compassionate about this guy. He put the entire production on hold. It's like, I want you to really think about it and come back if you think you can do it. The guy came back in 3 months. He's like, I just can't do it, which is totally understandable. Mel Brooks was like, I totally understand. So they moved ahead, and they realized at that point that Cronenberg was now available again because he left Total Recall. So he moved on to The Fly. So
is it? Are you about to say Baxter Stockman or whatever his name is? Are you about to
No, I'm
bring
not
him
gonna say
into that
Baxter. I'm
conversation?
not going to say Baxter Stockman at all. I'm going to say Krang.
But hang on a
Fly
second.
guy. That's
Yeah,
the
the little
guy.
fly guy who's
Oh shit! I didn't even think about that.
he's based on the return of the return
He
of the
is.
Fly.
He
Yeah.
totally is. Yeah. Wow. That's hilarious. Good job, Jeff. That is awesome.
Joe was with me.
My eyes lit up. I'm like, ooh.
So here's what I'm getting at, Chuck, is I think that Quato was conceived of before Krang, but Krang would have been conceived without ever knowing anything about Quato. and I think maybe the visual representation of Kuato could have been influenced by Krang.
Crazy.
Because Krang is like a brain driving like a big robotic body.
Yeah,
It's similar, but
that's housed in his abdomen. Yeah,
Mhm.
The display is definitely similar.
it's very similar. Okay, so what happens with Kuato and Quaid?
So we learn that Quaid, or that, I can never remember his name, so I shouldn't be telling the story. The bad guy has been hiding.
Cohagen. Yep.
Cohagen has been hiding this machine,
Yeah.
right? Under the pretense, and maybe he even believes this, that if it is turned on, it will kill everyone on the planet.
Yeah, it's kind of twofold. That the reactor will it will melt this glacier that will release all of this gas that will make Mars habitable.
That's what Quado is saying.
That's what Quado is saying.
That's what Quado is saying.
But Cohagen believes it's a nuclear reactor that will.
At least that's what he's saying to everyone, and it seems
Right.
genuine almost.
Well, I think he honestly believes it to
I
the
think
very
so
end.
too. I think so.
But it's going to blow up the stuff that's super valuable gets used in the reaction too.
Yeah.
Well, and everyone dies. He says everyone will die, but
But he also can't sell oxygen if it's free.
right,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
But I don't think that he actually thinks that's what happens with that reaction.
I agree with you, Jeff.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, we got a catty corner match here, guys. All right. Well, this is the first time on this episode we got a catty corner match, based on what I'm looking at. Chuck's down here and I'm up here. Anyway,
Okay.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm talking about shit that nobody can see.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
This is a podcast, which is inherently a visual format.
Guys,
ahead,
watch me
Chuck.
do this.
Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Oh, Joe's whipping and nay-naying over there, I think. I don't even know. So while
this
while
is like,
he's-
yeah. Go ahead, Chuck. Sorry.
I was just going to say, while he's talking to Quado, these bulldozer drill vehicles that have been seen in the underground highways,
Yes.
or whatever, break through the wall, and they just kill Quado. Right? They just shoot his.
No, they escape further in to a bunker, and it is Benny that ends up shooting Quad.
Oh yeah, they escape. They escape out, and then Benny reveals himself. The cabbie reveals himself as someone who's working for the evil dude.
Yeah, he's double crossed them. He's working for Cohagen.
I got his name right. Guys. But yeah, I mean, and this is what, the end of the second act, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, because at this point they're captured.
Melina and Quaid are captured. Yep.
They're taken to Cohagen, and Cohagen reveals that.
I love it. I really love this reveal that Cohagen and Quaid are buddies.
Yep.
And that they have conceived of a plan to make Quaid the ultimate mole.
Yep.
To wipe his memories, dump him on Mars or on Earth with a fake wife, with false memories, and then put him through these series of
trials.
To get him to Mars, to lead them to
because none of their undercover people can get past the psychics.
Yes, exactly. So if he really truly believes that he is benevolent and good, then they'll be able to ferret out all of the mutants. And it works.
And it works.
And this is what Richter didn't know. He didn't know about all these plans until
right, because Richter constantly is asking, like, "Hey, what are you doing, dude?"
Yeah.
To Cohagen, and he's like, "Hey, I'm not paying you to fucking think."
Right.
Oh God,
Also,
if everyone as us have heard that in a job before.
Well, but that's another little Verhoeven thing.
Yeah.
It's like you just obey the authority.
Right.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it absolutely worked. It worked perfectly. But Quaid still isn't buying it. He's like, no, it's too perfect. It's too perfect. To which I really like this. Cohagen is like, are you kidding me? I'm honestly shocked it did work. With
Right.
all the crap that could have gone wrong and did go wrong.
And Richter
My
shooting
own
up the
people
place.
working against me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a miracle it did work. Yeah. And I love the video. It's like, if you don't believe me, let's hear from yourself.
Yeah, I have someone here that wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
Like,
it's great.
hi, you're eating watching this, but
It's like, ow, monkey,
he's coming up
fucking...
smoking cigars with Cohagen, you know.
yeah,
He's like,
and they got like their arms on each other's shoulders, like my bro. Yeah,
and I love that Arnold Schwarzenegger gets to play the bad guy here too. You know,
Yeah.
it's great, and he's just reveling in it. He's like, yep, we got you, buddy.
well, so then they
We got you, me.
We got you, me.
I got me, you.
yeah. So they're gonna implant his right thoughts back into his head, and they're gonna make Melina his babe.
They're going to modify her to fall in line, basically.
Basically, yeah, and so that they would be. That's it's like, hey, apparently he likes you, so we're gonna let you, be kept by him.
But Arnold becomes Arnold, and he hulks the fuck out.
I like the line though, as Cohagen is leaving. He says, "Oh, I'm having a party at 9. Come, you and Melina, come by." And then he looks at the doctor. He says, "Remind him."
Yeah. And then, but that comes back later too.
Yeah, it does.
Like it's a one-liner later. So anyway, so he hulks the fuck out. He rips the fucking thing off the thing and stabs a dude with it. And he just stabs people in the fucking face in this scene, all over the place.
A lot, very horrifically.
Yeah, it is a very horrific scene, but also awesome.
Yeah.
So then he gets out. He and Melina get out. This is where basically at this point it's just fucking carnage for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, there's like 7 minutes of uncomfortableness, but
Oh, sorry, Chuck. Go ahead.
It's not uncomfortable.
Go
it's
ahead. You had
fucking
something
awesome.
Basically, Cohagen at this point gives Richter the go-ahead to kill him.
Send your guys in, kill him.
Yeah, he's like, finally, I was like, yes, I finally get to kill this guy.
For
But
killing my wife.
like you'd been doing such a great job of it before, buddy. But they go into they escape into the alien reactor, Quaid and Melina, and I really like the reactor, the way it looks. It's dated in places because of the matte paintings, and it doesn't always match with the physical set pieces, but it still looks really cool.
I love matte paintings. I wish that didn't ever go away.
I'm totally with you. It just gives it a sense of realism and scale. But what I really love about these set pieces are all the man-made portions, right? So there's these alien artifacts, but you can tell that the elevators and the catwalks and everything have been sort of jammed into place through areas that they've melted or mined through or exploded out, right? And that all looks really cool. But what happens is Richter and his goons track him down, and Arnold, it's set up earlier in the movie, but Arnold has this is kind of like one of the faults, I think, is like, why give him this piece of tech that can help you subvert the bad guys, the bad guys later?
Well, I don't think he expected Arnold to. I don't think he expected himself to really want to be the other person.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
But his
hologram watch.
He's got the hologram.
Mm-hmm.
He's got this hologram, and it's able to create a mirror image of himself that's kind of thrown across the room.
How did the bad guys not shoot themselves when they were?
I wondered the same.
Great question. It's a great question.
Probably because of Showgirls.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
That's a little bit of dumb fuckery.
It works.
It's a funny scene because it sets up an even better moment. So Michael Ironside.
Oh God! I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, Michael Ironside yells, "He's got a hologram!" and Quaid shoots up all the goons, right? Or not all of them, but a good portion of them. And then he's got a hologram.
Shooting goons.
And then this is kind of like the thing where they are afraid of the friendly fire. Quaid appears again in the middle of a bunch of goons, and he says, what does he say? He's like, "You think this is the real Quaid?" And then just waits a beat. He says, "It is."
Yeah, just blows him away. Yeah. Oh God, it's great. And because he also he has like a like he's like looking almost like through them when he says, "You think this is the real Quaid?" And then he snaps to like looking at one in particular. It is, and it just blows him away.
Oh, he's also already killed somebody with a giant drill and said, "Screw you."
Oh, that was Benny. He killed
That was
Benny.
Benny. He killed Benny with the giant screw. Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw you.
Yeah, the giant the drill bit.
He's in full on Arnold mode right now. Like he's
God,
it's
yeah.
One-liners. It's carnage.
Yeah, and it's like it's no longer the 80s because it's not a space Uzi.
Right.
It's like a real gun. But yeah,
But then Richter gets it the best.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So he literally disarms Richter.
Yep. Yes, he does.
So Richter reveals
See
that,
you at the party.
oh God damn. Yeah. So he.
So great.
Richter and Arnold fight their way up an elevator. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
And so they're fighting on this elevator, and they're trying to throw each other off this elevator. Richter reveals that Lori was actually somebody else. It was his wife, whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, I don't care," and because he doesn't.
Nope.
And so he finally Richter is hanging over the edge, and of course there's a race or something that they're approaching, and yeah, it tears Richter's arms off. To which, as he throws his arms back down the shaft to Richter's dead body, he says, "See you at the party."
See you at the party, Richter.
Yeah. So he gets up there, and now he just has to beat the final boss, which is Cohagen. Which there's an explosion that ends up breaking out the window, and they almost get blown out into Mars. But before any of Cohagen gets blown out, and then he activates the thing, and as the atmosphere, or as the glacier is being seared, so that steam and an atmosphere is released onto Mars. I'm not sure how science works, but I think that's about right.
Like that.
Yeah,
It happens very fast too, because all those people in all the mutants who they're
Venus has been completely no, before then they're completely turned off of air.
Yeah, they got choked out as a way to bring out Quaid.
Yeah, I mean they need air 10 minutes
now
ago.
Yeah.
They should all be dead.
They should
probably, especially Thumbelina, just because. Well, no, actually, I think she would probably be better off.
Okay, you don't know how science works, so let's not try to figure that out.
We've already established that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems right. Anyway.
But then we get 7, what is the word? I can't even think of the word, but them almost dying for 7 minutes straight.
Yeah.
As the mountain is being blown up. And there's a problem I have with this, because all of the people in that one place should now be mutants. And Arnold and his girl should now be mutants based on the lack of oxygen and the shit they take on while they're waiting for the air to actually be sent out into the environment.
Well, I don't think that you become a mutant.
Yeah,
that is just bad air.
They're in bad air.
They should be in a vacuum.
They're in bad air once they get blown out of the.
But is it clear that you are a normal human that then turns into a mutant, or are you born a mutant?
No, you're turned into one, I think.
It feels like that would be more of a gradual process.
Yeah.
Yes, unless it was rushed by being totally thrown out of the window into the Mars environment.
Because a mutation, I think, happens more
sure
over several generations.
They've not been on Mars for that long in this.
That's true. They probably haven't.
Who knows?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Whatever.
Anyways, it was excruciating watching them almost die for a long time.
No, it was fine.
This is what sticks. That effect with the bulging eyes. There it is again that we saw at the beginning of the movie is here at the end.
It just keeps going.
what he was having nightmares of.
Yeah.
Right.
So
But then the environment is set, right?
Yep.
And
it basically becomes a new Earth.
They live, and then this is where I think the golden question comes from.
So we all have a question here now.
Well,
so,
Arnold Schwarzenegger poses it himself.
That's what I'm saying. This is where the question comes from.
Right. So he looks at Melina and he says, "I hope this isn't a dream." And then she's like, "Well, you better kiss me before you wake up," which is totally goofy. But again, it's Verhoeven, and I'm going to accept it because he's playing on something here. And they kiss. It fades to white, not to black.
Yep.
And credits. So here's the golden question, everybody. This movie plays on two things. Is he in a dream, or essentially a dream that is now inside of his lobotomized brain, or is it real? Jason.
It's a dream.
Chuck.
Fades to white, he comes back to reality.
Ask Joe first.
Joe.
It's real, but it was so poorly done they made you want to think it wasn't. I dislike all the make you think things.
I think it is not.
Wait a minute. Wait.
We need to unpack this a little bit.
Yeah, wait a minute, because Joe just said, I hate they make you think things.
No, it was a lot of trying to be deep about it, but so poorly done, in my opinion, throughout. Like, I don't believe that what's his freaking name? Cokehaven.
Cokehaven.
He's doing a lot of
I'm getting the sense that Joe didn't like this movie.
The whole plan, yeah, it worked. He's right here. It's like, that's just like that. It couldn't work that way. I don't know. I think they never sold me enough that it was a dream for me to believe it was a dream.
So here's what I think. I think it was not a dream, and maybe it's just poor movie making. And as Jeff has pointed out, so definitely Verhoeven doesn't do that. But they show way too many moments of characters. So in the beginning of the movie, whenever Arnold leaves a scene, his wife looks at him concerned. Mm-hmm. When he leaves his coworker looks at him concerned.
Agreed.
Like they believe he's going towards something that they're trying to keep him from, right?
It's the audience pandering.
Maybe. And later on in the movie, they show multiple scenes that do not include Arnold.
Yeah.
And if it were a dream, those would not exist, in my opinion.
I'm with you. It's 3-1, Jason. You're wrong.
You're
not wrong.
I'd like to hear your answer to that, Jason, if you have one.
No, I don't think there is one. I think that's just bad scripting.
No, I don't think it's bad scripting. I think it's purposely written for anybody to believe either way.
Well, I do think that obviously because they don't answer the question definitively, and because they end the movie with the question that you're supposed to think either way. It's ambiguous. I do think though that there's a really important clue. I really think Blue Skies on Mars.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up too.
Is the most important clue in the whole thing to where it is a dream, and he's waking up because that's an implanted memory, and there's no reason for that to happen. And a lot of the things he's seen are just figments of things that he has dreamt or been suggested to. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a good answer for why you're seeing scenes that he's not involved in his dream.
That's fair. I wonder if you did.
Other than it's just the way the story had to be told to make the movie work, you know?
Yeah, I think if they really wanted you to believe it was a dream, they never should have left his perspective, in my opinion.
If they what? Sorry, repeat that.
If they really wanted you to believe or think it could be a dream, it never should have left his perspective.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think that they were really trying to be too clever, right?
Yeah.
They should be. If they're going to ask the question at the end, if they're going to try to make you think about that, they should have been a little more clever with it.
I don't think the movie was that smart.
Exactly. That's
agree
kind
with
of
that.
where I'm coming from. Like,
Yes.
they never portrayed it in a way where you would ever, like, I never believed that it was a possibility for it to just be a dream because of the way it was portrayed.
Yeah.
And kind of what Chuck said, the people reacting to him getting, oh no, we don't want him to go down that path. Like,
Yeah.
all the beats hit. I think it would have been more interesting of a movie if it did go more heavily into, like, well, the entire way, is it this way or is it that way? That's why I think it's interesting, the scene with the doctor guy from Recall there.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was trying to drive towards it, but it just never made me question it throughout.
It's these are all fair points. I still think that the totality of the clues point to the fact that he's in the dream. He's at Recall.
There's definitely enough there for that.
But I don't think that they effectively pulled that off.
I could see that.
Because of the ways that they manipulate the audience.
Yeah, I can see that. Did you guys see the newer one? I have not. The remake.
I've seen it.
Did
it's
they
been a
try
while.
to do anything, or?
Yeah,
along
it's
those lines?
it's essentially the same with the twist ending. I think. I don't remember if they definitively say one way or the other in that one. I can't really remember. I do know that it's a weird remake in the sense that it can't even use the Philip K. Dick story as a source, because it's not at all an adaptation of Dick. It is a legitimate remake of the 1990 film, which is so weird. Like, they use character names that aren't in the short story, right? But they totally cut out Mars. Mars isn't a thing at all. The whole movie takes place on Earth.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Weird.
it's
I
not
haven't
very.
seen it.
It's not very good.
I don't think I did that.
Yeah, it isn't very good. But anyway, at the end of the day, I think they leave it ambiguous regardless. I believe Verhoeven is on record as saying he believes it's a dream. So take that for what it's worth. But I don't think it really matters. Did you have fun? I sure shit did.
Yeah, I mean that stuff is secondary to the fun of the movie for me, for sure.
It's like the people who pick apart the ending of Inception,
It's just annoying that they raise the question themselves.
Fair.
It could have been way better, because I just watched The Thing.
Yeah.
Like, you talk about the end of that movie raising a question without asking you.
Yeah.
That is well done.
Yeah.
This just wasn't for me.
Yeah. No, I'm 100% in agreement there.
I just like it when people get shot a lot.
Yeah, Jeff loves shoe sting. Let the shoe sting begin.
Meat Shield. I was gonna say that. I'm all in for Meat Shield. That guy. Woo.
Poor dude.
So, can I bring up some Star Trek connections?
Oh, yeah.
God, no.
Shut up, Chuck.
I gotta go, guys.
No, it's
See you
fine. It's fine.
later.
No,
Go.
we got to talk about boobies. We get to talk about boobies in this.
Yes, we do.
Jason, what did you say about the three boob lady?
So, from my understanding, the concept of the three boob lady was actually supposed to be applied to the character of Deanna Troi in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and there were some special effects people who worked on both Total Recall and The Next Generation. So, what is her name? Marina Sirtis.
Marina Sirtis.
She kiboshed that idea, or somebody did. She wasn't real comfortable with playing that character. 22 episodes a season. So they got rid of it and somehow ported over into Total Recall.
Yes. So the lady who is the three-breasted lady was named, the actress was Lycia Naff. Now Lycia Naff was in two second season Star Trek Next Generation episodes playing the character Sonia Gomez. She was kind of set up to be either a foil or a love interest for Geordie LaForge. But she got unceremoniously fired for cutting her hair. And they didn't like how the wig that was provided for her second episode, I think, how it looked on her. However, she is in an extremely important episode of Star Trek Next Generation. She was in the episode Q Who, which is the first episode of Jason.
I don't know the title of the episode.
No, Q Who is the name of the episode, but what premiered for the first time in that episode in the second season?
What premiered?
Yeah, which character, which baddie was first appearance was in?
Oh, was it the Borg?
Yep.
Yep.
She was in the first episode of the Borg.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that is kind of full circle. Another Counselor Troy full circle is with Ronnie Cox. Ronnie Cox was in 2 episodes of Star Trek Next Generation where he played Captain Jellicoe, and he was taking over the Enterprise for a short time while Captain Picard was going on a secret mission. He was a stickler for the rules, and prior to those 2 episodes that he was in, Counselor Troy never wore a Starfleet uniform except for in the very first episode. And he forced her into a uniform which she wore for the remainder of the series.
An extra booby.
Yeah, right. He's like, also wear this extra tit. But then, of course,
issued.
Yeah, of course, Robert Picardo was the hologram doctor in Voyager, which also he appeared in First Contact, which the bad guys in First Contact, Jason.
The Borg.
Yes. So all full circle, guys. It's all
so much Star Trek.
So much symmetry.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything pretty much from like 85 to now somehow connects to Star Trek The Next Generation. So many,
probably it ran for 178 episodes.
So many actors, so many writers, so many special effects people. Like just an insane amount.
Can we also real quick talk about the career of Debbie Lee Carrington, who played Thumbelina, the dwarf hooker?
Sure.
She was an Ewok in Return of the Jedi and the Ewok Adventure the next year. Actually, also in Battle for Endor, she played an Ewok. She played the same Ewok in those 2.
That makes sense.
She was a duck in Howard the Duck. My guess is she was the tits out duck in the bathtub.
Oh, no.
Beginning.
That makes sense. And
It does.
She was in the Garbage Pail Kids movie as Valerie Vomit.
Oh, wow.
God, what a shithole movie that is.
Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad.
She played in 3 episodes of In Living Color. She was Tiny Avenger.
Oh, my gosh.
She played a character named Fishface in Mom and Dad Save the World. She was an Emperor Penguin in Batman Returns.
Oh.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was in several Chucky movies where she either played a double for Chucky or a
good.
No, she was the stunt double for
Tilly.
Jennifer Tilly. Yes,
I was going to get the Tilly wrong, so I just went with Tilly.
Yeah, so she also did stunt work in Titanic, which is odd because I don't believe there were any dwarves on the Titanic.
Could have been for children.
Probably.
Yeah. Or the ship.
Yes, they made her dress up as the ship.
They split her in half and sunk her.
Yeah.
Was that her last credit?
No.
She played the jewel as it was thrown into the ocean.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's terrible. I'm
I
going to
picture they just threw a burlap sack overboard and like, hey, get in there.
She was also a quote unquote creature in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And she was also in the movie Tiptoes, which was a very poorly conceived movie that featured Gary Oldman as a
dwarf. Yeah,
yes.
weird. So weird. Yeah.
Yep, playing the role on his knees.
Oof, that's bad.
Dorf goes acting.
Yeah. Dwarf. He was in dwarf face.
He was in Dorf on Golf.
Well, that Gary Oldman is very versatile. He probably did, play dwarf.
I love
play
Gary
dwarf in Dwarf on Golf. Anyway, I like this movie a lot. I know half this episode didn't care for it as much as we did, Jason, but you and I are.
Wait, I didn't say anything bad about this movie.
You said a lot of bad things about this movie.
I said it had problems, but
Not
that's
that much.
That's like, I don't know.
It's not a perfect movie.
It is indeed perfect movie. Look at Meat Shield, man.
It
is a perfect movie.
I don't need it to be perfect. Does it have holes? Absolutely.
Well, absolutely does Meat Shield.
Do I care? Sure shit don't. I love this movie.
I was driving some Mack trucks through those holes, but it's okay.
I was driving cave drillers in through those holes. I don't know. I like this movie a lot.
I will always go back to this movie if for no other reason than the special effects and the production design is just so much fun to look at.
It's a cool ass movie to look at.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger is so goddamn fun and likable in it. He's wonderful.
Yeah, I can't. I can never say no to an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
There's some you probably could say.
I probably could. I mean, like Hercules in New York, I am all on board.
Some of his later stuff before he became the governor weren't so great.
Sven Ole Thorsen is stunt coordinator in this. He was Arnold's stuntman for a long time. If I can do some shameless self-promotion, go watch my episode in March of this upcoming year to see what I have to say about Sven Ole Thorsen on B-Movie Enema, the series.
Yeah, let's get out of 2020. Let's. What's next for us? What?
Turn the page.
Great things are happening in 2021.
Well, a lot of great things are happening. I don't think I need to necessarily say exactly what great things, but we all know great things have happened or will happen.
Yeah, great things.
They have to happen. Yeah, I mean, I know some people will say not that great, but it's better than what we got. It's a lot better than what we got. Next episode is The Man Who Would Be King. We got a couple of Sean Connery movies to talk about. And then after that, a couple of River Phoenix movies to talk about.
Yeah.
Funny how that worked out. Anyway, so, hey, everybody have a good New Year. And when you are recovering from your hangovers from on New Year's Day, you can go over to bmovieenema.com. It is my 250th article.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
And it is also the start of Full Moon Fever 2.
Oh, dude. Nice.
So it's a whole month of their sexy movies that they did.
Ooh, very good.
Actually, a couple of them are. This one, though, that starts things off, not so much. Beach Babes 2, Cave Girl Island. Then the day after that, when you're fully recovered from your hangover, you can watch B-Movie Enema, the series, episode number 1, Eyes Behind the Stars.
Woo!
Sweet.
Next Monday on Monster Mondays, I've got The Mummy from 1999. I fucking love that movie a lot.
Some fun stuff. That's
super fun.
It's very Indiana Jonesy.
Very, very. And again, you cannot dislike Brendan Fraser.
It's probably a better Indiana Jones movie than Crystal Skull, in my opinion.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's got a lot going for it, though. Either which way. So bmovieenema.com. You can get that Beach Babes 2 and the B-Movie Enema, the series, which you can also just go over to Facebook or to YouTube and follow that channel. There's already some stuff there, already some clips from Beach Babes 2 already over there because that movie is ridiculous.
Same goes for Film Seizure. Check us out at
Yep.
filmseizure.com. Check us out on all of the tubes, YouTubes, the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just look for Film Seizure. You will find it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, we're closing the book on one of the shittiest years I've ever lived through. And hoping for better. We certainly hope everybody out there is safe and healthy and taking care of themselves and being careful around their family members. Go and get a goddamn vaccine when they're ready.
Yes.
We need to get things back into the black. We've been in the red all year. We need to get back into the black.
Hear, hear.
So, yeah.
I was just going to thank Joe for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, 3 episodes long, and we will, Joe, you and I can talk about some other torture we can wreak upon these fools that we do the show with. So we can find some other shitty movies that we can talk about.
We can play some more caddy corner games, whatever.
I love some garbage guys. I'll find some more garbage.
Well,
it's out there.
I think Garbage Pail Kids the movie is a contender.
No, sorry. Can't.
All right, well that may be a B movie in a
It's a bridge too far.
That's a fucking C movie, bro.
Dude, I have seen some things,
Yeah.
so that's not going to be the worst thing I've ever seen. Anyway, so until next week, when we can ring in a new year and we can talk about some Sean Connery being awesome. I think it's time to put a close to 2020. So until then, I am Jeff Arbuckle.
I'm Chuck Moore.
I'm Jason Oliver, and you have been listening to Film Seizure.